fiction stories have particular elements in common in order to make them interesting and something you want to read. We call these the elements of fiction, which is basically what should a fiction story have in it. The first thing a fiction story has to have is a setting. It has to take place somewhere and sometime. The setting is what time and place did the story happen. Let's use Cinderella for an example. Cinderella happened long ago in a faraway kingdom. Now there's other stories that happened in 1962 in Baltimore or yesterday at school. But every story happened somewhere at some time, and that's your setting. Every story, every fiction story has to have characters. There has to be people or animals or something in the story. These are the characters. Again, let's use Cinderella. There's a lot of characters in Cinderella. The main characters are Cinderella, her stepmother, her stepsisters, her fairy godmother, and the prince. Next is the plot. Something has to happen in the story. The story is about something, and that is the plot. So again, keeping with Cinderella, the plot of Cinderella is there's a girl whose dad dies. She lives with her evil stepmother and evil stepsisters, and she wants to get away from them, and the fairy godmother is who helps get her away from them, and she ends up marrying the prince. The plot is very concise, which means it's very short and straight to the point. A quick retelling of the story will give you your plot. Next is conflict, the problem in the story. Every fiction story has some kind of a problem. Something happens, something is going wrong, something has to be solved. In Cinderella, the problem is she wants to get away from her evil stepfamily. The last element of fiction that we will study is point of view. Point of view is who's telling the story. There's two options. There's first person, which means it's somebody in the story telling the story. In that case, you'll hear a lot of I, we, us, because the person talking is part of the story. The second point of view we'll talk about is third person, which can also be called omniscient. Omniscient means all-knowing. If a story is being told in third person omniscient, the person telling the story is not part of the story. They are on the outside looking in. They're retelling a story that they had nothing to do with. You'll hear a lot of he, she, and they if the story is third person omniscient.